Welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Let's Play ChäoS. In the last episode, Yatsuji Ban and Yu Kusunoki were busy staking out one of the various Gero Froggy stores, oddly referred to as Froggy's Pads. Haha. And Ban spoke to one of the store clerks there who appeared to be a mascot for Gero Froggy. But the conversation pretty much went nowhere, and the two were just about to leave when Ban noticed, well rather Yua noticed and pointed out to Ban that there was an unmarked white car or truck rather, carrying cardboard boxes with a Gero Froggy logo and the words Shinko Incorporated. And hopefully Ban might be able to use that and have Momose do a little bit of digging to finally get a lead going. But Takumi has returned to his home base right here at the Kurenai building. But it's going to be a cold homecoming. All the while I felt as if I were wandering about in a nightmare. Nanami's various facial expressions appeared and vanished in my head. She was straightforward in how she showed her emotions, and she is. While she was mad, she'd puff up her cheeks in a big pout, and when she was happy, she'd smile so much I got embarrassed just from looking at her. Each of those expressions in my memory set my heart in a tumult. The phone call. What exactly had the words Nanami conveyed to me meant? The bandage I'd seen her wearing around her wrist before school. Was it really? Where was Nanami now? At school? Or had she already gone home? We need to check in on her, loath as Takumi would be to normally do such a thing. And surprisingly, he's being accompanied by Rimi of all people. We came out onto the roof, Rimi supporting me as we went. Yeah. Things aren't always as they seem.
どうしたの? これから実家に帰ってみようと思うんだ。
As much as Takumi doesn't want to, he has no other choice. He needs to make sure that Nanami is okay.
これから? 急だね。
Should probably come clean.
歩いても30分もかからないところなんだ。
So it's actually not that far from his parents' house as I thought.
それで一緒についてきてほしい。
But Takumi needs Rimi for moral support. I made my request to her, so nervous it felt like my heart would leap out of my mouth. I myself was a tad surprised I'd been able to put it into words and actually say it. Before now I hadn't been capable of asking favors of people. First time for everything.
嫌だよ。
And yet, Rimi has a strangely crestfallen expression on her face. She flatly refused me.
私、行きたくない。
Rimi's acting suspicious. I never dreamed that would be her answer, and I doubted my ears. Up until now, Rimi had listened to every selfish wish of mine, no matter what it was. She always helped me, supported me. So I thought she'd unconditionally affirm anything I said. But now I had second thoughts, realizing I myself was aberrant for making myself think there was no way she'd turn me down. But why is she so hesitant to do so? I'd gotten carried away. I let Rimi spoil me too much. That you did.
そう。
それに
Rimi turned her back to me and wrapped her arms around herself as if to hold herself.
それにタクも行かない方がいい。
Once upon a time, Takumi would have taken those words as words of encouragement. But circumstances have changed.
それってどういう？
実家には戻らないで。
A firm tone of voice, like she was giving me an order. We had Takumi's biorhythms come up there, but this is not coming off as a delusion. I grew confused. I couldn't comprehend what would make Rimi say that. What kind of face did Rimi have on now? I didn't know. It's a far cry from the happy-go-lucky Rimi Sakihata that you knew before.
わけがわからない。
あなたは何も知らなくていい。
You're probably the last person to utter those words. Her voice held a sense of urgency, as if she were a different person than the Rimi of a few moments before.
ここでこのコンテナハウスだけでずっと生きていけばいいの。そうしてもらわないと困るんだ。
Problematic. I think the mask is starting to crumble. And whatever secrets lie beyond, they apparently have something to do with Takumi's parents. Rather, this was a delusion, wasn't it? Or else... Nope. I had to break it to you, Takumi, but this is no delusion. For one reason or another, Rimi Sakihata does not want Takumi Nishijo to visit his parents' house. There is definitely something that Rimi desperately wants to hide from Takumi, and that fact is making her all the more suspicious. Suddenly, a shrill sound pierced my ears. It was almost akin to a female scream. Except that wasn't a natural scream. Oh dear. The air trembled, blown by a savage wind. Because, if we remember, Takumi and Rimi are not the only ones up here. A scarlet glow consumed my field of sight. Unsure of what had happened, I turned my face towards the light. I would say run, but that is not an option right about now. On top of the container housing, when I looked up, there stood her, Sena Aoi. The form of Sena Aoi, her D-sword in hand. And this is the first time in which Takumi has seen this, but little does he realize, although he's about to find out soon enough, that Sena has a real boot at her D-sword. For one reason, and one reason only. Her D-sword's flashing was the source of the light, but it was strange. When I saw it before, I was sure Sena's D-sword had given off a blue light. When it was incorporeal. But not this time. The sound soon vanished into nothingness. The wind died down as well.
答える。
A sharp voice, a cold gaze. There was patient enmity in Senna's eyes.
これを書いたのはお前か？
As she spoke, she thrust out my essay, the one with the IR2 doodle drawn on the back of it. For some reason, it was covered in wrinkles. That's because Senna scrunched it up, in rage. Why did Senna have it? Why was she here? Because she didn't trust you. She never trusted you from the start, and in all honesty, she never liked you a single bit. Breaking and entering. Those words floated up in my head. I realized she had searched my room. Not that Senna would care about that or anything at this point. What for? Well, she was holding it.
答えろ
That's
と
what
言ってい
for.
る。
そうだけど、だから。
匠さん。
It was Kozapi's inner voice. She was behind Senna's back. That's not the same, however. She's not so much behind her back as clinging to her leg. She crawled on all fours, sticking her head out in our direction. Her expression was terribly tense. Good advice, but not good enough. At almost the exact same time that Kozapi yelled, Senna jumped down. She raised the sword over her head. Raised is used twice in that sentence there. Too late. Rimi pulled my arm hard, sending me tumbling backward. I raised my head in a flurry and looked at the place where I'd previously been standing. Senna's sword gouged the surface of the roof. Dreadful, with its unreal sharpness and destructive power. It had an impact sufficient to shatter concrete, but the sword itself bore not a scratch. Witness the power of a real booted D-sword, Takumi. Weren't D-swords supposed to be swords people couldn't see or even touch? You forgot what Kozue told you before. Remember the thugs. A certain word flitted across the back of my brain. It's only now you just remembered it. Her sword had been real booted. Senna's D-sword, having attained the local shared recognition of the four of us here in this place, was real, not a delusion. It was a great sword that could actually cut people's lives away. There's only one life that Senna wants to claim right now, Takumi's, for writing the formula. Never mind the fact that he had published it when he was grade 4 student. Age does not matter to Senna Aoi in the slightest at this point in time. Toddler, teenager, or adult. Senna Aoi intends to end Takumi Nishijo's life today. And she doesn't give a damn about the consequences. If Rimi hadn't pulled at me, that beautiful sword would have sliced me cleanly through the head. Instant death. Trembling bolted through my body. Just now Senna had unmistakably tried to kill me. And she did. And she will try again. Why? My head was full of doubts and questions. Before this, she and Kozapi and I had eaten crunchy-kuns together as a trio. That's because she didn't think of you as a threat or even a nuisance. In fact, she didn't even bother with you at all. We definitely weren't close enough that you could call us friends, and even back then she'd kept her intimidating attitude till the very end. Even so, it shouldn't have been such a sour relationship as to make her attack me with her D-sword out of the blue.
殺してやる。
Senna raised her face. She glared at me harder still. Her movements were swift, despite the fact that she carried such a vast sword. That doesn't matter to her. She sprang forward from the ground like a sprinter lunging out of a crouching start. She swung her sword as though to make its tip cut a line in the ground. Closing the distance between us, she raised it on high. My instincts awoke to the nature of the situation in an instant. She was serious. Senna truly... I lay collapsed gracelessly on my back. I'd lost my voice. I couldn't escape. All too unreasonable. All too sudden. To think that I'd hit a game over like this. To think I'd get ambushed by Senna after desperately fleeting Shogun. No, I don't want to die. Unfortunately, Senna has other ideas. Only a miracle can get you out of this. But it might not be enough. There. A single human form leapt forward, diving between me and Senna, standing in the way. When I looked, Rimi's back was before me. She had both her arms spread out as though to block Senna's path as she charged at me. She would risk harm to protect me,
どけ。
but then Rimi would die. No, I couldn't take that.
先畑さんには気をつけて。
And there is Kozue's warning from before. Suddenly, I remembered what Kozupi had said to me before. Pale light overflowed from Rimi's outspread hands.
先畑さんはよくわかんないのら。
Rimi,
タクに手を出さないで。
she crossed her hands over each other as though to bind the overflowing light together. The air trembled. Glittering feathers of light from somewhere danced about her. That which materialized in her hands. She caught and stopped Senna's colossal, furiously lowered sword with ease.
タクを追い詰めないで。
It was far too graceful and far too divine to be called a sword. So much that one might mistake it for an angel's wings. And I then understood. She too, Rimi Sakihata too, was a gigalomaniac. That she is, and she was hiding that fact the whole time. Looks like the mysteries are finally starting to reveal themselves at long last. And there she is, Rimi Sakihata. Her twin D-swords on full display. Standing against the might of Senna Aoi herself. That is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play Chaos Head for the time being, adventurers. And when we return, only time will tell how this contest of Gigalomaniacs will end. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.